All right. Welcome back. This is one of those live streams, spur of the moment. I didn't prepare or nothing. I went live as soon as I heard this video. And I got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. Now, I'm going to put this question out there. Is Tariq Nasheed losing his mind? Is he losing it? And when I say losing it, I mean, is he getting to that age where, his mind is not working as well as it used to? I consider that possibility, that Tariq is losing it. He's losing his mind. He either losing his mind or he's purposely trying to con the general public. And my thing is, why? Why lie about the situation? Why lie about anything? And to downplay kids growing up without their father, you can't do that. This is not a game. It's not. Now, let's listen. He recently uploaded this just a few minutes ago.
At us with these weird stereotypes where they try to deny white supremacy and they try to do victim blaming. One victim blaming thing that we always see and hear, these people trying to tell us, well, the problem with black people, it ain't white supremacy. The problem is, well, the fathers ain't in the home. Oh, it's the single parents. And family, don't go for that talking point. That's a con game.
No, it's not. That's a real problem. There's several black people out here who will tell you to your face right now, I never knew my father. What are you talking about? You can't run that on Real FBA. Let me tell y'all something real quick. Also, I was born and raised in Lima, Ohio. Y'all need to know something about these small town FBAs. A lot of times we're more straight up FBA because in these little small cities, there ain't a lot of foreigners. I ain't never met no African or nothing in Lima, Ohio. Them foreigners, when these immigrants come over here, they usually go to big cities. So understand, I know black Americans. I know black Americans very well. And it's part of the culture not to know your flipping father. I don't know how many black Americans have no idea who their father. What are you talking about? No, you're not going down. Nobody's going to downplay this. Nobody. Because he is doing this so that he won't have to hold black women accountable. Let's continue.
I really want y'all to understand that whenever they start using the absentee black father trope, when you hear white supremacists saying that, that is a con game. Not only is it a deflection, that's a way for them to, number one, justify systemic racism, because what they're trying to say, and y'all understand why they're saying stuff. Because as we know, the CDC, they've already said that black fathers are the most active in their children's lives, which is true.
That lie right there is the main reason I'm making this video. That's like the fourth or fifth time I've heard him misinterpret that CDC report. Why lie about it? Stop lying. That's not what that report said. And for people who don't know no better, they're going to soak this right up without looking at the CDC report themselves.
Stuff. Because as we know, the CDC, they've already said that black fathers are the most active in their children's lives, which is true.
They did not say that black fathers are the most active in their kids' life. That is a lie and a misinterpretation of that report. I know because I made a video on this report some 14 years ago on my SBW channel. I already dealt with this report. Now you can look it up yourself. Let me enhance the size so y'all can see. I don't want nobody to be confused. I don't like lying. I don't care what it. Now, there's some truth to what Tariq saying. They do use this absent black father as a way to justify abuse. They use it to justify abuse. But the thing is, they created the problem from the beginning. Now let's read this. The CDC has published several studies highlighting the significant involvement of black fathers in their kids' lives. A 2013 study found that black fathers who live with their children are more likely than white or Hispanic fathers to engage in daily activities like bathing, dressing, and helping with the toilet. Let me repeat that. Black fathers who live with their children. They compared the fathers who live with their children. They didn't say that black men are more active as in present in their kids' life. There's no way to quantify that. There's no way to do a test on that. You'd have to monitor every human being in the country their entire life to know something like that. That's not what the report said. All it's saying is that when black fathers are present in their kids' life, they are more involved in their kids' life. They enjoy being fathers. And again, I know because I used this same article in one of my videos on my SBW channel, where I was trying to prove that it is a lie that black men run away from fatherhood. How could that be true if the active fathers are more active? How can that be true when black men show more pleasure in being fathers? But I argue in black fathers' defense without lying, without twisting the results. You don't have to lie. You never have to lie. When you try to lie, I'm sorry, I just don't trust people like that. Now, I don't know if he just don't understand himself, but I don't see how. This is not hard to understand. Black fathers who live with their children are more likely to engage in daily activity. They even get into detail, daily care. 70% of black fathers who live with their children more likely to bathe, dress, mealtime. 78% black fathers compared to 74% of white fathers, 64% of Hispanic fathers. They like to eat meals with their kids. Black fathers like to eat and spend time with their kids. Homework and activities. Black fathers excel there. Overall involvement, they excel there. Fine. That is not saying that all black fathers, all kids grow up with their fathers. And that this is a myth that all these black Americans have grown up, many of them not ever having even known their father. And many of them who know their father, that's all they know. They just know him. They know his name. Don't know his character, personality, or nothing. Others, they will scantily know their father's personality and whatnot. They might see their father once every 5 or 10 years. Y'all know I ain't lying. Those of you who FBA, you know our culture, and you gotta know our culture in order to object to this. Many black Americans will see their biological father every once in a while. They're primarily taking care of, if there's a man in the home, it's a stepfather, one of her boyfriends. You see, this allows him to not hold black women accountable. No, we ain't having that. We ain't having that, man. Let's continue.
Just because a black man and black woman are not married, that doesn't mean that the father is not in the child's life. That doesn't.
Now you heard that. He said just because they're not married doesn't mean that the father is not in the child's life. Are you really trying to argue that the CDC discovered how often black fathers are involved in their kids' life, even though they're not married, how would they find something like that out? What kind of study? How could you research that? There's no way to find that out. The only way to do that is to put cameras on people 24/7. Ain't nobody about to do that, and that is not what was done. That is a misinterpretation of this CDC study.
Is not in the child's life. That doesn't mean that the child is fatherless. When they say that, that's more of it's almost like a fantasy.
Man, these kids are growing up fatherless. Stop that. And it's damaging these people. Many black people my age and older as I speak have been damaged because they did not grow up with their father. This has impacted several black Americans' lives. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Oh, it's just a myth. Black fathers have always been there. No. These women have truly, factually been running off with these men's kids. You see, another reason why I suspect he's doing this is because what's the other option? The other option is to deal with the fact that these single mothers themselves have already confessed that they're the ones who leave their kids' fathers. So if you deal with single motherhood at all, you have to address these women leaving their kids' fathers. There's no way to win that debate. You're going to have to hold black women accountable. So that is why he has opted for this lie. He's twisting the CDC results, man. Stop that.
The white supremacists kind of sit around fantasizing about black people being from broken homes. It's like almost some kind of sexual fantasy that they have. I want y'all to understand the mindset of these people. Because like I said, number one, it justifies systematic racism, portraying black families as being inherently broken. They excuse over-policing, mass incarceration, redlining, lack of investments in black community. You just blame black people instead of the structural white supremacy, which is the real problem.
Now there's truth in that statement. There's some truth in that statement. I can co-sign with that. Now the over-policing and the other things that they do to black Americans is not completely based on their assumption that we're all fatherless. But they most certainly will use absent fathers as an excuse to do several things, even medicate our kids, put them in special education classes and courses and stuff like that. But let's not lie. That's all I'm saying. Let's not go overboard and pretend like black people have not been growing up fatherless. We most certainly have. It's even shown in the fact that we get no inheritance. The fact that we haven't grown up with our fathers, you can prove it financially. Why do you think it's not a thing for black Americans to inherit anything? Why do you think we have no generational wealth? Because the fathers ain't been there. No, we're not going to sweep this under the rug. This is another way of minimizing the importance of fathers. This action comes from Keisha culture. This is why I've said several times, y'all got to get Keisha off you. You cannot be heavily influenced by black women as a black man trying to lead. And that's what he's doing. No, you got to step off of that. Let's continue.
Also, them using that trope, that's something that they can use to project white guilt. The white supremacists, they project their own societal dysfunctions onto us. their domestic violence, their mass shooting, their opioid addiction. They project that stuff onto us to avoid reckoning with their own internal collapse. Because these people are just morally collapsing on each other. And like I said, that whole fatherless black community, that's like a white supremacist wet dream. Claiming that black fathers are absent allows them to kind of feel morally and culturally superior. You understand? Which again, despite the data showing that black fathers are the most involved fathers of any group.
See, he said it again. I don't think he's confused. I don't think he's confused.
And that's also a way for them to try to the most in there. You understand? Which again, despite the data showing that black fathers are the most involved fathers of any group.
Man, okay, let's look at some other interpretations of that study. Because we got to remember, there were several media outlets who reported on that. You see this? Look at that. Black dads are more likely to play, dress, and share a meal. They didn't get confused. See, look at that. 70% of black fathers who live with their children. That make all the difference. He's trying to say that this CDC report is saying that 80% of black children are growing up with their fathers. That's not what this report is saying. Wow. Now, Tariq is obviously not the only one who misunderstands in this study. And I knew people would misunderstand it. That's why I went over it on my own video. And I don't see how or why people are getting confused about it. Y'all trying to sweep under the rug all the millions of black women who snatched their kids out of their fathers' lives. Y'all trying to sweep all these years of, shielding kids from their fathers. Y'all want to sweep all that under the rug, demonizing black fathers. And you know what they've always said? What have these black American women always said? They've been proud to take your father out of your life. And what do they tell you? You were better off without him. Ain't that what they say? Ain't that the most popular narrative in black America? Are we going to spill the beans since we out here trying to lie? Those of you who grew up without your father, ain't many of you heard that? Your father wouldn't have done you no good anyways. I helped you. I helped save your life by taking you away from him, by not allowing him to grow up and be involved in your life. He was worthless anyways. You're co-signing that. You're putting a stamp of approval on that when you try to downplay these situations. Don't ever try to downplay absent fathers in black kids' lives. Not even sorta, kinda.
And that's also a way for them to try to undermine black masculinity. If black men are painted as being irresponsible, dangerous, or emotionally absent, that will weaken the social.
And it's kind of pathetic because I've heard several white people bring up single mothers in black America, but they'll also bring up the fact that the United States government put that in motion. There are white people out here who acknowledge that, who acknowledge that single black mothers were created in black America. I mean, let's stop playing crazy, man. Because it impacted white America as well. There are far fewer of them married today compared to their marriage percentage in the 50s and prior as well. So I don't like this, man. People not being realistic. You want to, everything got to be against us. Oh, that's a lie. No. You're not going to lie to us. And the crazy thing is the comment section, where so many people is, co-signing what he's saying, playing dumb like he is.
Image of black males. And that's also a way for them to try to distort the legacy of black resilience. Black fatherhood, that's been a powerful force of survival.
And wait a minute. Single black mothers it doesn't represent irresponsible black fathers. Y'all heard him say that. What it represents is irresponsible mothers. Mothers. Because again, it's already been proven that these women are out here leaving their kids' fathers. The black women are confessing to this themselves.
Black men would risk their lives to be with their families. You understand? Black men would literally risk their lives to be with their families. They would fight for their freedom, trek through the forest and the wilderness and the swamps to get to their families. Don't let them run this "we don't care about our family" nonsense. That's a white supremacist fantasy. That's a wet dream that they have, because that trope, that erases the legacy of strength and sacrifice from foundational black American men. And
now, understand, some more truth in what Tariq is saying here is many of these single mothers have their kids' fathers heavily active in their life. Many of you remember the video where I highlighted this. I've actually made a couple videos, very old videos, 14, 15 years ago. Right? So there is truth there too.
The legacy of strength and sacrifice from foundational black American men. And always talk about, remember, during up into the 50s and 60s, many of the riots that happened in this country, it was the black males that dream that they have, because that trope, that erases the legacy of strength and sacrifice from foundational black American men. And always talk about, remember, during up into the 50s and 60s, many of the riots that happened in this country, it was the black males protecting the black women in the community. Remember, the Watts riot got started because there was a rumor that cops had roughed up a black woman out in Philadelphia.
Okay. Now, these black men who don't live in the home, but they're heavily active in their kids' life, those kids are still at a disadvantage because he doesn't live there. Okay? If he doesn't live there like the mother lives there, he can't be as influential, as impactful, as hands-on as he should be as the father. So even in those situations, he's being handicapped, limited as a father because of her. And if he has visitation rights like that, he had to fight hard for it. And usually in those situations, those are a lot of times abusive relationships. Okay, so let's be clear about that too.
There were some riots out there in the 60s because the rumor was cops had harmed a black woman. In Chicago around 67, there was a big riot out there. The rumor was that a store owner harmed a black woman and the cops didn't do nothing, so the people in the community turned up. When we heard that a sister got harmed by one of them white supremacists, brothers went to the streets heavy. So there's always been that protective barrier within the community of black men stepping up and in the father role for the community. So that image of the absentee black fathers, that them repeating that's something where they try to plant a seed, and hopefully to them they think that seed is going to grow if they just keep saying it over and over. They try to
It's used to demonize black men. It's used to justify the worst types of mistreatment against black men. This idea that black men don't like to be fathers. They find out that a woman is pregnant and we get paranoid, start shaking and sweating and leave town, move to another state. Like we got some type of phobia against being fathers. It's extremely important to push back against that narrative, no doubt. But at the same time, black women in droves are taking kids' fathers out of their lives. Let's take a quick break and hear from Keisha herself.
Political commentators, single moms get a bad rap. And they've been used as political punchbags, like we are just the dredge of the United States. I was married to a very wealthy man. I got a divorce, walked away from $1 million lifestyle in South Florida because that was the best thing to give to my son, was a better life, not with him. It just...
You hear that? How nasty of a comment was that? Basically said it was a blessing to take the kid's father out of their lives. And all the other Keishas shaking their head in agreement.
That was the best thing to give to my son, was a better life, not with him. It just sometimes bothers me how sometimes single moms just catch such a bad rap. Yeah. Like we are just out here just willy-nilly having babies with anybody just because we don't have anything else better to do.
You are! Then once you have kids, you don't really value those kids. Don't value their upbringing. Nothing. Just go through life being selfish and reckless.
I know a lot of people that are married that are single moms. Because people...
Listen to these anti-marriage. They hate family. They hate marriage. I'm not going to sit up and let nobody ignore this. They have been actively destroying black families for the past few decades. We're not about to sit up and ignore this. Black men had families intact. That's the basis of a functional and operational people in general. It starts with families. And these women have been destroying families. Black families are weaker today than they've ever been, ever. And it makes sense. Listen to how they're talking. Like it's a blessing to take your kids' fathers out of the kids' lives. You're a bunch of lunatics.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm very serious. I have a lot of friends who are married to very wealthy men, and they're married to the lifestyle. And they think that the baby is going to save the marriage. Babies don't save marriage. They just prolong bad marriage.
Married to the lifestyle. Listen to how she's talking about financial security as if it's irrelevant. That's why you ain't got no inheritance, Black America. With functional fathers, we would have at least inherited homes. A nice little check or something. Like, what are you talking about? This is straight out of those Kevin Samuel interviews. Married to a wealthy man and I divorced him. She just sat there and told you that she divorced him.
Everyone in this room wanted to grow up and be a mother. Some of you did. No one wants to grow up and be a single mom. You're not on your knees as a little girl saying, I want to grow up and be a single mom. No.
Okay, yeah. But when you have a baby, first of all, y'all usually get pregnant before you get married. That's first of all, which is backwards. And then when you do have a baby, you're still selfish. You're looking out for your best interest rather than the best interest of the child. And as soon as the father sneezes wrong, you file for divorce. You run away. You become disrespectful and evil after the baby's born. That's another pattern, because you feel like you got them trapped. Feel like because of the laws, you feel like you got him by the balls and he need to do what you say. Y'all feel like y'all wearing the pants. And then he ends up cheating on you. You file for divorce, but guess what? You destroyed that marriage. Even the black men who have cheated, there's a backstory behind that. It's not all the man's fault, wagging the finger at the men. Now listen to her comrade here.
No.
Excuse me, my name is Lisa. I have, I think, a unique experience. I have 3 sets of children. They range from 35 to 11. My children all have separate fathers. I have been...
You don't say. Listen to how they talking about it, like they're proud of it.
very fortunate that with all 4 of the children and the 3 fathers, they have partnered with me every step of the way.
A lot of people often have said that being divorced has actually made parenting more difficult. Has that been your experience?
It's made parenting better for me.
Parenting is better once you divorce that man. Y'all need to pay close attention to how thoroughly we're demonized as fathers. Yeah, they may be sexually attracted to black men, but when it's time to be a father, we're looked at as pure evil. Pure evil. Not only as fathers, but genetically as well. They're not happy having your kids. Or put it like this: if Brad was the dad, they'd feel blessed. They'd feel like their baby is going to have blessed genetics.
Manifested by just saying it all the time. You see? So them suggesting that black men are just perpetually irresponsible, it becomes easier to justify their removal from the home through incarceration. See? Which benefits the
No. People are not buying that no more. People are not buying that no more. We're not going to throw away all the work that all these black men have done. The years of work Kevin Samuels has here online that prove that that's not what's happening. These women are not single because of black male irresponsibility. That's not what people are thinking. Everybody knows that black women are creating these situations. And I mean everybody. Brad knows. Becky knows. Enrique knows. They're all over the internet talking about it themselves. Ain't nobody dumb. Ain't nobody thinking that single mothers in black America exist because black men are running away. Cat been out the bag. What's the point in all these thousands of confessions? Do y'all not understand this? Kevin Samuels interviewed thousands of black women all across the United States and got the same results. People don't understand how impactful that work is. He got the same results all across the country. They don't value marriage. They always leave marriages, file for divorce, break up homes, destroy homes. But you don't have to hold them accountable for any of that if you say that the single mother narrative is a myth. If you say that it's a myth, you don't have to deal with none of that.
See, which benefits the multi-billion-dollar prison industry. And that narrative, it perpetuates all of these anti-black media stereotypes. The media, they love elevating dysfunction within black society. So showing a culture of black fathers being absentee dads, that type of dysfunction is something that they like to promote. They would promote that stuff. They really started promoting that absentee father thing in the 60s in movies and television. Shows like Julia.
Now, all of this is true. And understand, they do use this single father propaganda against us. They still push it. Many of these far-right white supremacists push it as well. But again, you also find many of them pointing out the fact that it was an agenda set in motion by our own government.
With Diane Carroll. Remember, in the 70s, they started with this single mother thing. Our good sister, who's Caribbean actually, Esther Roll, who was in Good Times, she was on a show called Maude at first. She was kind of a recurring character. Norman Lear and those guys, the white producers, they wanted to give her own show, Good Times. On the show, I think Good Times started in 1974. From the beginning, they always wanted the Florida Evans character to be a single mother. They never wanted Florida Evans to have a father. The whole premise was for her to be a black single mother. Esther Roll said, no. I don't like that image. That image is not going to be a good image. That woman and those kids are going to need a father. So I'm not going to do a show with no single mother. So that's when they hired John Amos. But eventually, they took him off the show. They killed him off. Why did they kill him off? Because again, he was not only perpetuating an image of a strong father on camera and off camera, because what they wanted to do, I
don't even want to listen to all of that. Let me skip past that.
You see? And also, here's the big thing, man. Why they like promoting that absentee father thing. Because, see, that allows for their sexual exploitation fantasies. See, a lot of these white supremacists, they push this narrative to kind of justify their own hyper-sexualized obsession with black women. Can we get deep for a minute? These white supremacists have a real violent, hypersexualized fantasy mentality when it comes to black women. Just imagining black women being alone and vulnerable without a black man present. That makes them easy prey. You see, that's why they like that whole trope of no man being around, so they can come into the community and do all types of weird shit to black women and black children without getting stomped on, because they know if a black man is there, they ain't gonna do all that weird shit. I put up a video clip earlier. A white man goes up into a Walmart, drops his pants in his drawers, and starts fondling himself in a Walmart full of black kids. And his sister's like, oh my God, y'all go whoop his ass. So a bunch of brothers came out of nowhere and stomped a mud hole in his ass. You understand? They came out and swooped down on him. And that's what they don't like. See, they want to be able to do little weird stuff like that when ain't no brothers around. They thought, I guess this white guy thought, okay, I go into this black neighborhood and curve all the way out and ain't gonna be no fathers here, so I'm good to go. And he was sadly mistaken.
Now that was just crazy. That was crazy right there. Come on, Tariq. Wow, you think this white man assumed that there was just no black men in a Walmart, in a whole Walmart? Hold up.
Came out and swooped down on him. Mud hole in his ass. Yeah, y'all go whoop his ass in a Walmart full of black kids. And his sister's like, oh my God, y'all go whoop his ass. So a bunch of brothers came out of nowhere.
Listen to that. Keisha called, got black men on a string like puppets. Y'all go whoop his ass. All she got to do is give the word, right? Press the button. That's a true matriarch, right? That ain't no flex, man. Keisha, y'all go whoop his ass. And then here come the brothers. So in other words, the brothers wasn't smart enough to put hands on dude by themselves, they had to wait for the order from Keisha, right? Oh, you know how ignorant that makes us sound and look? Come on, man. Like we just some ignorant monkeys. We just dumb. Yeah, we need black women to tell us what to do.
Nowhere and stomped a mud hole in his ass.
Black dudes just came out of nowhere. Once Keisha said, hey, go get him.
And his sister's like, oh my God, y'all go whoop his ass. So a bunch of brothers came out of nowhere and stomped
and those dudes wasn't necessarily those kids' fathers. It could have been anybody. He just sat there and tried to say that those black men putting hands on this white dude proved that fathers are in the home. Ain't no telling who those dudes were. Come on, man.
Mud hole in his ass. You understand? They came out and swooped down on him. And that's what they don't like. See, they want to be able to do little weird stuff like that when ain't no brothers around. They like, see, they thought, I guess this white guy thought, okay, I go into this black neighborhood and
just ain't no black men there.
curve all the way out and ain't gonna be no fathers here, so I'm good to go. And he was sadly mistaken. He was sadly mistaken. The brother stepped up and stepped off in his ass. But yeah, they got that weird fantasy about
Tariq, stop it. Stop it, man. Now, I know this make a lot of black men uncomfortable. But y'all just gonna have to take it. We are in the era of holding black women accountable. And it ain't nothing that nobody can do to stop it. I don't care if it's Umar. There ain't nobody who can save you. Nobody's gonna protect you. I don't care what type of narrative, trying to pull something out of history. Oh, let's deal with this slavery and all this. Get out of here. We not about to pretend like single mothers in black America is a myth. We not about to do that. You even got black women in their own circles talking about how single they are as mothers. They've done formed groups and all kind of stuff. Their videos are all over YouTube. They have not objected to this idea of them being single mothers. They know better than anybody how rampant single motherhood is among them. It is not a myth. These girls and these boys are not growing up with their fathers. Why you think these girls so loose? Huh? Why you think such the number that do exist of these black boys out here dysfunctional is all get up? The father's not there. And many times the father's there, he's still dysfunctional because his father wasn't there. He's forced to start all over from scratch. Black women abandoning their kids' fathers had enormous, it inflicted enormous damage to black America. It damaged our psyche on individual levels. Y'all have no idea how less efficient we are as a result of not growing up with our fathers. You see it in black women in their physical existence. Today they look like beach balls. Back when they had fathers, they was in shape, fit. They were far more efficient and effective as parents, as wives, back when the fathers were there. We're not about to pretend like fathers, black fathers, provide no benefit to families. They provide the most benefit. You see a biggest difference when the father is there. They've even proven this through tests, shown that when kids grow up with a single father, they're more productive in life, on average, than when they're raised by a single mother. We're not about to play dumb here. And I land my plane there.